Hello everyone, hope you're doing good. Thanks for tuning in. DC TechNet is your own channel, so do like, share and subscribe. It motivates us to create new and amazing contents. So we received a comment from one of the subscribers stating that can we create a video on groups, in Active Directory, enterprise admins, domain admins and schema admins. So first and foremost, we would like to thank you very much for the comment, and we have created today's content respecting this particular comment. So let's see what we have on the agenda today. So we will be taking a look at Active Directory built-in groups, and we have a prerequisite to understand these built-in groups, and the prerequisite is you must know Active Directory group types and their scopes. So we have a video on our channel stating Active Directory group types and group scopes. So I'll just recommend you to watch that video before jumping in over here. So let's get ahead. So let's see what we have today on the agenda. So we'll look at what are built-in groups in Active Directory, and we will understand the following groups and the usage. So we'll look at domain users, enterprise admins, domain admins, administrators, server operators and schema admins. These are very important groups, and there are other groups as well. I'm talking about the built-in groups, which are not that important as these groups. So we won't be touching those groups. So we'll be only focusing on these groups. We won't be touching these groups. And at the end of the session, we'll have a basic question on these groups. So what are built-in groups in Active Directory? So built-in groups in Active Directory are groups that are automatically created in a predefined containers when a domain is created. So they are automatically created and a predefined container. So these groups have specific permissions and rights that apply to all the members of the group. So the groups are created in predefined containers, as well as the permissions and rights are also predefined. Now they serve the purpose of simplifying access control and administrative tasks throughout the domain. And these groups reside in two containers, namely built-in and users. So let's look at the location of these groups in Active Directory. So these groups are present in the container named built-in, and they are also present in the container named users. These are not OUs, okay, these are containers. So these groups are present in these two containers, built-in and users container. So let's understand these groups one by one now. Let's look at domain users. So this domain users group act like a repository for all the standard users which we create in Active Directory. So when a new user is created in Active Directory, it is automatically a member of this particular domain users group. And And this group has, say, typically a minimal permission over the, say, resources like file servers and printers. And this group has read-only permissions on Active Directory. And the domain users group is present in every domain in the forest. So this is our contoso.com forest. So we have 3 domains: contoso.com, east.contoso.com, and west.contoso.com. And every domain will have its own domain users group. Now let's look at the properties of this domain users group. I've opened up the properties and we can see this, the scope of this group is global and the type is security, and it's grayed out. Okay, so we cannot change the scope or the type of this particular group. By default it is grayed out. And we can see over here members. Every, say, user which we create in Active Directory is a member of this particular group by default. Now let us look at enterprise admins group. So members of this group has full administrative access over the entire Active Directory forest. They can manage any object in any domain in the entire forest, making this group extremely powerful and capable of, say, making changes in, say, any domain in the entire forest. So if you are the member of this group, you have the God mode. Okay, so you can control everything in the entire forest. This is the supreme authority in the entire forest. So full control over all the domains within the forest, including ability to make domain controllers, create, delete domains, and modify any object in the domain. So common usage assigned to top level administrators who need, say, comprehensive control over the entire forest for tasks such as, say, forest wide configuration changes, domain management, and high level security configurations. Now the enterprise admins group exists only in the forest root domain. It's not like domain users which, say, exist in every domain. This enterprise admins group resides or is created, automatically created, gets created only in the forest root domain. And by default, the only member of this group is the username administrator of the forest root domain. And by default, enterprise admins group is a member of administrators group in every domain in the forest. So we have this contoso.com forest with 3 domains, and we have the enterprise admins group, which is a built-in group which gets automatically created in the forest root domain. And we also have administrators group in every domain, and this enterprise administrators group, enterprise admins group is, say, the part of or the member of the administrators group in every domain. So whoever is the member of enterprise admins group in contoso.com will have complete control of, say, the entire forest. So here are the properties of enterprise admins. So if you see under the general tab, the scope is universal and it's grayed out again. So we cannot change the scope as well of this built-in group. And as we discussed, members, the username administrator, the forest root domain is by default the member of this group. And if you look at member of, it is the member of the administrators group in every domain, making it a super user or the super group. Let's look at, say, domain admins now. The domain admins group is one of the most powerful groups in Active Directory environment. Members of this group have complete control over the domain now, not on the forest but on the domain, including all the computers and domain controllers and everything in that particular specific domain. That's the reason it's called as a domain admins, and the other group was called as enterprise admins. Enterprise represents the entire forest. Permissions. Members can change or manage all aspects of the domain, including users, group policies, security settings, domain controller, etc. And the best part is this group is automatically added to the local administrators group on every, say, member server or member workstation, and it gives the complete control on the member servers or, say, member workstations because it's a part of local administrators group. So common uses, so it's top level administration assigned to senior IT administrators or IT department heads who need comprehensive control over the domain to perform high level administrative tasks. Critical configuration tasks used for tasks that involve significant changes to the domain, such as setting up new domain controllers, restricting OUs, implementing domain-wide security policies, and managing domain trusts relationships. Delegated administration. So while powerful, this group, say, the group's rights can be delegated carefully. So this group is also, say, meant to delegate permissions to other IT personnels. And emergency management. So domain admins are often responsible for handling critical incidents and emergencies, such as recovering from system failures, performing disaster recovery operations, and managing, say, security breaches. So these are some of the common usage of domain admins group. So this is our enterprise admins, and the domain admins group is present in every domain now. And again, it is a member of the administrators group in that particular respective domain. So the domain admins group for contoso.com will be the member of administrators group of contoso.com domain, and so on and so forth. So let's look at the properties of domain admins group now. So if you go to the general tab, again the scope is global and it's grayed out. We cannot make any changes to the scope or the type. And if you see members, so the administrator of that particular domain, the default username administrator is the default user or the member of that particular group named domain admins. And this is a Windows 11 client system, and we have opened up the properties of the local administrator group, and we can see that the domain admins is by default the member of local administrators group on every domain joined computer. So let's talk about the administrators group now. So member of this group have full control over the domain, including all computers and resources within the domain. Scope again, domain local, so impact limited to the specific domain. Membership typically includes built-in administrator account and the domain admins and the enterprise admins group. Common uses. The administrators group is meant for trusted IT personnel who requires full domain controller access for critical administrative tasks such as deploying new domain controllers, managing user counts, or working with bulk users and groups, implementing group policy changes, managing user accounts and groups again, troubleshooting domain controller issues. And we have to take one thing in consideration, that is, due to immense power it has, membership in this administrative group should be extremely limited and only granted to those who absolutely require it. So we have to take all these things into consideration. So we can see over here the administrators group is present in every domain, and we have a username administrator, which is by default the member of this particular group of that particular respective domain. So let's look at the properties of the administrators group. If you go to the general, as we saw, it's a built-in local group as good as a domain local group. It's grayed out again. And if you go to members, we have the domain administrator user as a member and domain admins group as well as a member of this group, and the enterprise admins as well as the member of this particular group named administrators. Let's understand server operators now. The server operators group in Active Directory empowers its members with control over managing just servers within the domain. Member of the server operator groups can administer domain controllers. Remember now, they can also administer domain controllers. So by default, the group has no members. Members of the server operators group can take on the following actions. Sign on to any server interactively. So you can just RDP into the server MSTSC and interactively log on to any server. Create and delete network resources, network shared resources. Start and stop services, backup and restore files, format the disks, shut down the server. This group can't be renamed, deleted or removed. This group can't be renamed, deleted or removed. And the common usage is often used to delegate access to the L3 IT support staff who manages Windows servers and domain controllers. Now let's look at schema admins. Members of Schema admins group can modify Active Directory schema. This group exists only in the root domain of an Active Directory forest. The group is authorized to make schema changes in Active Directory. By default, only members of this group is administrator account for the forest root domain. So by default, the administrator account is the only member of this Schema admins group. So this group has full administrative access to the schema. Usage, often used to delegate access to highly experienced IT professionals who perform tasks like extending and editing the schema and also performing schema upgrades. So there is difference between extending the schema and editing the schema and upgrading the schema. So let us understand the scopes now, built-in groups and their scopes. So these are the scopes: domain users. We have the scope is global, administrators, built-in local, domain admin, global, enterprise admins, universal, server operators, built-in local, schema admins. We have universal scope. So one question arises in mind: why do these built-in groups have specific scopes? So please leave your answers in the comment section. If I receive at least 50 comments, I'll be creating a video on why these groups have these specific scopes. So let us summarize, what we have seen today. So we have seen what are built-in groups in Active Directory, and we have also understood the following groups and their usage. So thank you for joining in today again, and if you feel this channel is helping you to learn anything new, do like, share and subscribe to the channel, and have a wonderful day.